first playoff games as they go head-to-head. Our analytics like the Jaguars at home with a 61% chance to win, according, again, to our FPI. But here's the question that I put together here, RC, just to have a little fun. Everyone in the world is in love with Justin Herbert, but Trevor Lawrence has looked so good, particularly the last 6 weeks or so with the better coaching from Doug Peterson. So if you're starting an NFL team right now and I'm offering you these two quarterbacks, Which one are you taking? What do you got?
I hear you, Greeny. You know what, Greeny, I'm going to go with Justin Herbert. And listen, when I look at these guys from a talent standpoint, I believe that it's extremely close. But I've watched Justin Herbert elevate his team in times where Mike Williams is down, Keenan Allen is down. Defensively, they're not at full strength. And I've seen Justin Herbert with his legs and with his arm, and quite frankly, with not great coaching from his offensive staff and Joe Lombardi, find ways to win games, find ways to push this offense over the top. And I think it's that little bit of oomph that I give Justin Herbert. But if you're a Jacksonville Jaguar fan and you love Trevor Lawrence, then you absolutely should. He's a guy with a great arm. We've seen his athleticism, and the marriage between he and Doug Peterson, I believe it's one that can have this team atop the AFC South for a very long time. But if you're just asking me to take one guy based on talent and his ability to elevate his team above what the roster says, right now I'm taking Justin Herbert.
I will remind anyone watching, if this sounds like an obvious one, that Justin Herbert is 3 years removed from coming into the NFL with a lot of people questioning him as a prospect, and Trevor Lawrence is 2 years removed from coming into the NFL with everyone saying he's the best prospect we've seen since Peyton Manning or John Elway. So I think in that regard it is fascinating from a quarterback's perspective. Which one?
I would take Herbert. I think it is closer for me than maybe some other people. I've seen more of it, and they're roughly the same age. And so the fact that I've seen more of it, and this is effectively Trevor Lawrence's first season, because last year was such a disaster. I would say this: I think it's probably widely accepted that there's an upper level of talent in the NFL when you think about Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Justin Herbert is in that group in terms of just physical ability. There's plenty, all guys have talent, but they are kind of in a class of their own. Trevor Lawrence is right there. I think RC was kind of referring to that. Trevor Lawrence is right there in terms of athleticism and arm strength, which is why he was viewed as this amazing prospect. But I would take Herbert. It's super close for me.
Let's put the picks up on the screen as we continue this here. Ninko, and I haven't even seen these yet, so let's see. Cindy, who does everybody like in this game? All right, so we're sort of split down the middle here. Ninko, you've got the Chargers. How come?
Yeah, because of Herbert. I mean, that quarterback, the athleticism. I think when you look at Herbert, you might look at him and say, he looks kind of like a child. He looks too young, He's a big dude. He's huge. And I was working the Eagles-Chargers game last year, and I was on the field, and this has only happened to me one other time where I looked at a quarterback, and I had an idea of what his size and how big he was just based on what he looks like, right? And I was like, he's probably like 6'1", 6'2". Yeah. I was on the field, I go, whoa, this dude's like 6'5". He's huge. Yeah. He's huge. The other quarterback that I did that with was Cam Newton.
Oh, Cam Newton.
Cam Newton comes walking on the field. I look at him, I say, dude.
I'll say this, though. I can't be the only one who, when watching the pregame show last week, when Trevor Lawrence was sitting next to Jeff Darlington, that I came away thinking, oh my God, either Trevor Lawrence is way bigger than I thought, or Jeff Darlington is way smaller than I thought.
He's not very big.
Jeff's like a nice size, but he's scrawny.
No,
he's average.
Trevor Lawrence looked like he was.
Trevor's not small.
No.
Trevor looked like he was sitting next to his son. I mean, he made, and I love Jeff. Jeff, I love him, but he made you look kind of small. All right, we got a huge weekend coming up. Our star-studded NBA Friday doubleheader. I'll be back here tonight. Unlikely. Ninko, is it likely or unlikely that Aaron Rodgers wins the division next year as a Green Bay Packer?
I'm saying likely here. I mean, how can you count out Aaron Rodgers for next season? You saw a lot of promise from the young receiving core. The offense looked better as the season progressed. So maybe their defense takes another step forward next year, and Aaron Rodgers, obviously a Hall of Famer, likely.
Let's see what steps he decides to take in the near future. Meanwhile, Tim, likely or unlikely that Derek Carr will be a playoff quarterback next season?
I'm saying likely, and I'm obviously if he plays with the Jets. Look, Greeny, I know you like that. I think there are a bunch of teams that are going to be interested in him that have good rosters, good defenses, the Jets being one of them. Would you like Derek Carr as your quarterback?
Yes.
Yes, you would.
Yes, I'm going to load up that quarterback room next year. We're going to talk more about that a little bit later. Meanwhile, Ninko, back to you. Is it likely or unlikely that Tom Brady will be on a new team next season?
Likely. Highly likely. I'll throw the highly in there. I think Tom isn't finished. He just doesn't seem like a guy that's going to hang him up after the year's over.
Now, so let's come out and talk about this one here for a moment, because it is fascinating that Tom Brady, who is the most accomplished player in the history of the sport, has a home playoff game on Monday night, and all the conversation is about the other team, right? It's all about the Cowboys leading into this game.
Yeah.
But Diana, I want to start with you. Is the expectation from people that you talk to around the league that Brady will play again and that it will be somewhere besides Tampa?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of confidence in the NFL that Tom Brady is not done yet, and he wants to continue playing. And I think he's been pretty transparent about how much he wants to continue playing. We've seen quite an up and down year for him down there in Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of what team is best suited for him next, that's going to be something he's got to figure out. But you have to figure he's going to want to play for a team that has a really good offensive line, and it's going to be a head coach that he's going to have a good relationship with. And when you take a look around the league and you see the teams that are desperate for a quarterback, I know the dream would, I'm sure, be New York for you.
Yeah.
But, I think for...
No, I want Brady, Rodgers, and Derek Carr. I want all of them and let them just battle it out for the job, and then Zach Wilson will back up whoever it is. Okay.
They'd still lose.
Let me come to RC, because Diana just said that Tom will have to figure out what the best place is for him. What we're going to do is work for him. RC, what is the best place? Whenever there's, look, maybe Brady will stun us all and wind up winning another championship this year, but assuming that doesn't happen, what's the best place for Tom Brady next year?
His house. Tom Brady should go home. Tom Brady has done all he could possibly do for this game. Tom Brady has exceeded expectations of what the 199th draft pick should be able to accomplish, and he's the greatest quarterback of all time. What I think he will do is end up as a Las Vegas Raiders. Listen, we heard Dana White said during the season on the mega cast with the Gronks that he thought Tom Brady's deal was already done. And so now with Josh McDaniels being the quarterback, the head coach there, having a guy like Devontae Adams, if they don't move on from him, Winfrey, Darren Waller, if you can re-sign a guy like Josh Jacobs, this offense is loaded. And he has a coach that he has a level of comfort with, a level of familiarity with, and he understands how to run that offense better than anybody in the entire NFL. So if I had to guess, if Tom Brady is still playing football next year, he'll be in Las Vegas, and that's where I'd place my bet.
A reminder for anyone, and placing the bet is a nice touch with Vegas. A reminder for anyone who needs one that Josh McDaniels was his offensive coordinator in New England for a very long time. You also have Raiders there. How come?
Because I don't think he's done. Football's like a drug for some people, and they can't shake it. It feels like that's the case for Tom. And a lot of the things RC said, I think the roster is one that he would like. I think the coaching staff is one that he likes. And I think he's not done. And because of that, that seems to me to be the most logical spot.
I still think we should keep an eye on, cut you off, sorry.
No, go.
I think we should also just keep an eye on where Sean Payton winds up. That's something that has, there's been talks about that for years, about Payton wanting to work with Tom Brady. Do I think it happens? I think there's a small chance, but I think it's going to be on the table.
Well, I guess since you bring it up, what are the Sean Payton of it all is fascinating here, right? We know that he's going to talk to Denver first, and then there's going to be a list of suitors we would think as long as your arm. How real is this Sean Payton, Tom Brady thing? Because I do hear a little bit of an undercurrent of that.
Yeah, I think it's very real. I think Sean Payton wants to work with him, and you have to think that Tom Brady wants to work with him. I know going back to when he was a free agent before Tampa, that was real. There were conversations about Tom Brady joining Sean Payton in New Orleans. It did not work out. So do I think they're going to come back to the table and have those conversations again? Why not? Because right now it seems that Sean Payton is looking at his career going, I'm going to pick what I want to do, and I want it to be successful, because we know that he cares about his legacy.
Well, those are two guys who've accomplished just about everything, to your point. If they want to keep going, maybe they keep going together. We'll see. So that's a quarterback at one stage of his career. Let's talk about two guys at the other end of the career, meaning at the very beginning. In Jacksonville tomorrow night, we will see Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence. Unlikely. Ninko, is it likely or unlikely that Aaron Rodgers wins the division next year as a Green Bay Packer?
I'm saying likely here. How can you count out Aaron Rodgers for next season? You saw a lot of promise from the young receiving core. The offense looked better as the season progressed. So maybe their defense takes another step forward next year, and Aaron Rodgers, obviously a Hall of Famer, likely.
Let's see what steps he decides to take in the near future. Meanwhile, Tim, likely or unlikely that Derek Carr will be a playoff quarterback next season?
I'm saying likely. And if he plays with the Jets. Look, Greeny, I know you like that. I think there are a bunch of teams that are going to be interested in him that have good rosters, good defenses. The Jets being one of them. Would you like Derek Carr as your quarterback?
Yes.
That makes you happy?
Yes, you would.
Yes, I'm going to load up that quarterback room next year. We're going to talk more about that a little bit later. Meanwhile, Ninko, back to you. Is it likely or unlikely that Tom Brady will be on a new team next season?
Likely, highly likely. I'll put